You know, we see them every day, right? In our parks, on the street, right outside the window. But those common birds, they're doing a whole lot more than just flying around and singing. They're actually part of a vital, unseen workforce. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the absolutely critical role they play in keeping our planet healthy.
So, let's start with a simple question. The next time you see a sparrow on a fence or a pigeon in the park, what are they really up to? Well, it turns out they're busy with some of the most important jobs in the entire natural world, jobs that directly support the very ecosystems we all rely on to survive.
And this isn't some small operation. We're talking about a massive, incredibly diverse workforce. Globally, there are around 10,000 different species of birds. Just to give you some perspective, in Japan alone, that number is over 500. And every single one of them has its own special part to play in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at how birds are basically nature's gardeners, nurturing our forests. Then, we'll get into their role as the guardians of the ecosystem. After that, we do have to talk about the tough stuff, the threats they're facing because of us. But we'll finish on a high note with what we can all do to help out.
So, let's jump right into one of their most amazing jobs. Birds aren't just residents of the forest. They are literally building and maintaining it, one seed, one flower at a time. One of their most important jobs is something called seed dispersal. Now, it might sound a bit technical, but the idea is actually super simple. Many plants completely depend on birds to spread their seeds. Birds like thrushes will eat fruit, and the seeds inside just pass right through them, totally unharmed.
And this is how it works. It's pretty genius, actually. The bird eats the fruit, flies off somewhere else, maybe miles away, and then, well, it poops out the seed. But here's the kicker. It deposits that seed in its own perfect little package of natural fertilizer. This gives the new plant a fantastic head start, far away from its parent. They are literally nature's gardeners.
But they don't stop at planting seeds. Oh no, birds are also essential pollinators. You've got nectar-feeding birds, like the Japanese white-eye, that zip from flower to flower for a drink. As they do, they're carrying pollen from one plant to the next, which is absolutely crucial for countless types of flowers to reproduce.
All right, so we've got gardeners and pollinators, but their resume doesn't end there. Next up, let's look at how birds act as the guardians of their ecosystems, keeping everything in a really delicate balance.
This table lays out their duties perfectly. First, you have pest control. Birds like sparrows eat a staggering number of insects, which protects our farms and forests. Then you've got the predators, eagles, hawks, that keep populations of smaller animals in check. And finally, you have the scavengers, like vultures, who are nature's essential cleanup crew.
And the scale of this work is just immense. I mean, think about this for a second. If we didn't have birds controlling insect populations, we could be looking at catastrophic damage to our food supply. They provide a completely natural, totally free, and super effective pest control service 24/7.
And let's dive a little deeper on that predator role. Predators like hawks and owls are at the top of their game, right at the top of the food chain. By hunting, they make sure no single species of smaller animal gets out of control and eats up all the plants. It's all about maintaining a healthy, stable balance.
So, we've seen how incredibly important these birds are. But this essential workforce is facing a huge crisis. And, well, it's a crisis that we've created.
So just keep all this in mind, right? Planting our forests, pollinating flowers, controlling pests, keeping the entire ecosystem from falling apart, their contribution is just enormous.
But we are putting all of that amazing work at risk. And here are the biggest culprits. We're destroying their homes with deforestation and sprawling cities. The pesticides we spray are poisoning their food. And climate change is throwing off the ancient migration and breeding cycles they've relied on for thousands of years.
And the consequences of losing them would be, well, pretty dire. This slide paints a really stark picture. On one side, you have a healthy, humming ecosystem with birds. On the other, a world without them. We're talking devastating insect plagues, failing forests, a higher risk of disease, and a food web that's completely out of whack. The stakes could not be higher.
Okay, that all sounds pretty heavy. I know, but this is not where the story ends. There is absolutely hope, and there are real, concrete things that every single one of us can do to become partners in protecting this vital workforce.
And you know what? It starts with small things. Putting out a simple bird feeder or a little dish of water can make a world of difference, especially in cities. Grabbing a field guide and learning to identify your local birds helps build a real connection. Choosing sustainable products, supporting conservation groups, or honestly, just taking a moment to actually watch and appreciate the birds in your local park, it all adds up. And remember, this isn't just about some faraway rainforest. The birds right in our own cities and neighborhoods are our daily link to the natural world. Watching them can be a source of genuine wonder and even a little stress relief. They remind us that nature is right here, all around us, even on the busiest street.
So let's end with this final thought. The birds we see every day are more than just beautiful. Their presence, their numbers, their health, it's all a direct signal, a barometer for the health of our entire environment. So paying attention to them isn't just a hobby. It's like reading the vital signs of our shared planet. The real question is, are we listening to what they're trying to tell us?